And we are live. Welcome to That BS Show. This is season 2, show 1. We did it. We did it. And we had planned on a couple times going on air earlier, but I got the crud that's going around. And then you had other things that came up in life. And then there were the holidays. And so, anyway, here we are, January 12th. New season, new show. We did it. Season 2.
New season, new year.
Yeah. Yeah. New year. And then now, for those watching that are into astrology, we just hit the nodal shifts and happens to be my nodal return. So I am so okay with being out of the last 18 months with that North Node in Aries. It was a lot for me. So I felt the shift a few days before, but I felt it, and boy, I'm okay with it. I'm definitely okay with it. And it should be, it's moving into more of a spiritual access and that South Node getting out of perfection and going more into flow. And so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Aries is a little, um, well, it's that warlike fire. And so it kind of came into my life and was like, okay, here, we're going to just completely rip up your life for the next 18 months and you'll be better at the end of it. And boy, I'll tell you, there were a lot of days I was like, fuck this shit. I don't see an out for this, but I definitely felt it. So I'm very happy about that. And how are things feeling for you?
I mean, in my own life, things are kind of chugging along. I've um like the holiday season was pretty chill this year. It was nice to see family. One of my great aunts passed actually like a day before Thanksgiving, I think, and then we had her memorial service a couple days before Christmas, and I haven't seen that side of my family. Some of them in I mean, maybe even almost 10 years, I think. So it was really nice to see everyone. It was really
Mm-hmm.
nice to see my grandma's brother because he's the last, like he's the main like patriarch now. He's the last. My great aunt Norma passed away, my grandma passed away. So it's just my uncle Jerry that's left and his wife passed, and it was just nice to see everybody, and especially before the holiday. And then, New Year's Eve, it was chill. I went out to like a bar and sang karaoke with some friends, but I'm trying to do dry January right now, so I haven't drank since New Year's Eve, and I'm gonna try to go all January alcohol free.
Right on.
So far so good. 12 days in.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
Just trying to get clear headed. I've been. You said you got the ick. I got the ick too. Whatever was going around. I was kind of sick in like November, December, and then I got better. And then recently, like a week ago, I got something, and I got a steroid shot in the ass at the doctor, and it actually made me feel so much better. I've never like gotten a steroid shot before, and the next day I was like, I think I could clean my whole house today after having a fever the night before. Like what? Mm. So I am grateful for modern medicine as well as natural medicine. Um,
Right on.
but yeah, I feel like a little stuffy, but not. It's been a little windy in Vegas, and luckily we haven't gotten too much of the. A lot of times when either like Rocky Mountains, Utah, Arizona, California, there's wildfires. It usually tends to at some point blow into Vegas, and it just makes the air quality. Which I'm not even complaining because I know the people in California are clearly suffering way worse. But I've just had like some bronchial issues, so I am glad that it hasn't.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you have asthma as well, so it's
I do,
tougher.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's annoying as hell.
Did you get any of the mystery fog?
I think we did a little bit. It's weird. I was driving at night and I'm like, is it that mystery fog? Because Vegas doesn't get foggy. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows it's not very humid here, and if it is, it means it's because it's raining. So we get some fog in the mountains, like in Red Rock, Mount Charleston, like maybe on the outskirts of town, but I live downtown and I've never seen fog here. And so driving at nighttime, I would see around the street lights, like fog. I could like see it, and I'm like, that's weird. And I'm like, well, maybe it's dusty because it does. If it's windy, it gets extremely dusty here. But it wasn't windy, you know, so I did kind of see like a little bit of something, and it made me go, because that's around the same time that everybody was getting sick and had this
Mm-hmm.
cough. This like everyone seems to have this like dry cough
Yep.
kind of, and like post nasal drip, and I don't
Yep.
know, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, I took that little. I just worked a couple days a week at a little restaurant behind the bar, and to get out of the house, and so I couldn't say that it was that, or because I'm touching money and I'm around, travelers, and so and I didn't see any. Um, we didn't have any fog up here, but there were reports of it down in Phoenix. So, but it's the same sort of thing. And one of the women I work with, she got the steroid shot because hers got really congested. I didn't get to that point, but I was just very. You know what it reminded me of is when I got the Delta variant, COVID.
From me, by
Oh,
the way,
that's right.
everybody.
That's right. That is so fucking right. That's right. You came to visit me and gave it to me. Thanks.
Little backstory,
Yeah, a
little
little
Kim and
backstory.
Sarah lore.
But I was out for 2 weeks with that. I mean, down. It felt like I had mono in high school, so that was. I didn't. It only lasted about 5 days, but it felt more like that. And then you can kind of still hear it in my voice a little bit, but it was like that kind of dry cough. I take oregano every day, and I take the black seed oil every day, and soursop, and ashwagandha. I have a whole handful of things I take. Oh, but
Nettles,
what I
nettles are good to take too.
nettles. So what I
Nettles
did
and
add to my
mullein.
routine was chlorophyll.
Hmm.
So now I'm taking that every day, and I take a Mary Ruth's morning supplement. Um, but that's just. Oh, and I have colloidal silver. My neighbor always has me stocked in colloidal silver. So now I'm taking a little hand sprayer at work just to kind of um, keep around me and put up my nose and in my ears and down my throat. Just keep it on hand. I did
Kill
that through
them
COVID.
germs.
Yeah, so just not too worried about it. But of course, then they had to start telling everybody that the first H1N or the bird flu guy died. There was one of those. So that was in the rotation. So once again, having stuff coming at seemingly all angles because I guess before the fog, we had the drones. So that was,
Oh yeah, the drones.
yeah. See,
Let's see, what
if
do we have
there's
to
so
catch
much
up on? We
coming,
have to we have to catch up on a lot of the
I
Vegas
know.
bombing, the New Orleans New Year's bombing, the drones, the fog,
And now
California fires.
I mean, it just like hasn't quit. So that's been, and I guess that's part of it is that when you have this much stuff coming quickly, it's like you already forget the other things that have happened. Your brain doesn't even have time to really register any of
Process.
it.
No, it
It
has no
just
time
keeps
to
coming.
process or register. It's like when it's rapid fire like that, it's like you're in survival. So you just got to keep you're ducking and weaving, bob and
Yeah.
weave and float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. And you're just in
Yeah.
survival mode. And that's what compartmentalization is. Like that's when that
Mhm.
happens kind of naturally, is because like in order to keep moving, in order to keep thriving, in order to go about your day as normal, you have to like pack it into little tiny
Yeah.
boxes in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Tune, of course, I go on air and she's got it. Hold on.
Yeah. No worries. Um, Maybe we'll also get to talk about our animals at some point. I know that usually
That
is one
usually
of our
comes up.
yeah, that's
I
usually one of
got,
our
that's the
subjects.
one thing about broadcasting from my bed. I got my babies, my Annie Banani. I was telling Sarah, the house it's just too big to keep heated and like at a comfortable temp. It's just too expensive. So
Yeah, you have
keep the
those
house,
high. She has very high ceilings too, so I feel
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
yeah. And so just I'm just me. There's no point in heating up the whole house and having it be ridiculous. So just keep it at a baseline temperature of like 60 degrees. And I got a nice space heater in here. So I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to do the show until the season warms up a little bit, which is totally fine because then I get to have my babies under bed with me.
Well, where should we start? Should we start pre-New Year, or should we start at what the drones? Like, because I actually just recently heard Trump again talking about it, how he was saying, on the 21st, he's gonna try to disclose as much information as he can. He personally thinks it's, a top secret government program, which is why they've been so hush hush about it, because they clearly don't want to divulge not only information to the public, but information to our enemies, whoever that is, China, Russia, who fucking knows. But
I
it's
think
just
I
like,
saw that interview with him. Somebody asked him about that, and he was like, "Well, I don't know. Wouldn't you think he'd know? I don't know. Anyway, not that he'd say
well, I mean,
anything.
he doesn't get the clearance yet, like that.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
it's
Yeah.
so no, I don't think he is technically in on or privy to all of the
That's right. Yeah.
information until he's inaugurated, and I think then he'll be filled in or debriefed or whatever he'll be debriefed.
Whatever the term is. I guess because he's been holding kind of these press conferences, he's already acting so presidential. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Very.
it's so crazy how all these world leaders, not only just like Trudeau, but everybody's already meeting with him. Like nobody's contacting Biden, nobody's meeting Biden because they know that. I mean, first of all, he was a lame duck. He had a lame duck presidency, like I think it's safe to say that. And everybody knows that he's not really running the show, and everybody's just kind of waiting with bated breath for, you know, the orange man to step,
We didn't do an election show. That's right. We had a bunch of stuff
Mm-mm.
that came up, so we didn't even. That's right. Gosh, we haven't been on air for a minute. I guess I thought we'd done a show since then, but yeah, yeah, that was a whole. That was a. I mean, he just clobbered her, so that's good. Oh, maybe we did do. I can't remember, Sarah.
I think we
Um,
did do one
I think we did do
post-election.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was the last one that we did, I think, because
yeah,
we made it a thing to do one post-election, I think. And then
yeah.
we haven't, and then everything just with the holidays, like from honestly from Thanksgiving on has just been a freaking blur. So
Yeah, I can't
um
believe how fast we're already in the middle of.
and then like all this stuff, obviously it does take precedence over like Diddy and a lot of these things, because it's like, yeah, devastation. I think I read that 180,000 people were displaced from the fires, like that. I mean, that is devastation on, a huge scale. So of course something like that is going to take precedence over like little stories here and there. But I posted a meme today actually, and it was like the plot of the movie Chinatown that was like put out in 1974 is like, global elites and bureaucrats or whatever did a power grab by dumping all of California's water into the ocean and creating a false drought and buying up the city that way. So it's like, I don't know. It's a little too on the fucking nose, especially
Mhm.
when, I'm sorry, like I don't understand these Democrats that are like coming to, I don't really know much about Karen Bass, but I do know a little bit about Gavin Newsom, and he literally reminds me of Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, the polished, the
Mhm.
or like a Ted Bundy character, if
Yes,
you will. You know what I mean? Handsome, smooth
yes.
talking, sly as a fucking fox.
Just a
And
scumbag.
he's
Yes.
related to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, who's decrepit, broke her goddamn hip because she's in her 80s in a walker going to Congress. You know what I mean? It's like this is a plutocracy. That's what that is. It's ruled by the rich. And if you think that Gavin Newsom hasn't kowtowed to environmental activists who have hindered forest clearing efforts, not only clearing the forest floors of debris, but then doing controlled burns where, you go through sections and you cut down certain trees so that after it's a fire, it can't jump. It creates a space for it to burn
Mhm.
out before it collects. And they won't allow them to do that because of all this red tape. They won't
Yeah.
allow them to fill the reservoirs because of all this red tape. They won't allow them to build new reservoirs, which apparently 10 years ago they set aside over $2 billion to create new reservoirs. And in that 10 years, not one single reservoir has been finished or even built. Is that money still secured? Like these are questions. I'm from California. I'm a native Californian. I was born in Whittier. I grew up in Orange County. My family lives from San Diego to LA. I am a Southern Californian through and through, and I can't be more happy that I'm not living in California. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, I spent 10 years in Santa Monica, and I used to hang out in the Palisades all the time. I mean, that's that area, and driving I lived right second of Montana, one block from, I mean, one block over, and you see the ocean and the incline. I was right there. And so to see some of these pictures and, talking to friends that I used to live there with and some that still live there has just been, well, I have a friend that lost two homes, and then the house out in Calabasas that he has three horses out there, and they wouldn't let people in to even get their cats and dogs. They just sit outside an area, and they wouldn't let them go in to get their animals. So I don't have an update yet on that. I'm assuming he got his horses, or I'm pretty sure I would have heard something because I have a friend that talks to him. Uh, I don't necessarily talk to him, um, but it's heartbreaking. I mean, I had to actually kind of stop because the videos that were coming of the animals are the ones that just I just it's just, in the horses, of course. It just, I can't even imagine.
any large livestock, I mean, dogs too. Dogs and cats are your family, and it's hard for me too. I kind of have to tune it out a little bit, and I know people who feel, because I have been to that place where so much has happened that you just feel numb and disassociated. You know what I mean? Like, when my grandma passed and my mom got cancer, and it was all within 1 month of each other, and then she was moving in with me, and it was like, I don't even know if I cried at my grandma's funeral. I can't even remember. I don't even know if I cried the day she died, although it had been coming for a long time. I think there's something to say that it is different when an elder family member dies and there's a build up to it and you pre-mourn them, as opposed to somebody just like passing, um, out of the blue when they were healthy. That's just a different kind of loss and
Yeah.
trauma. But like, I know that I felt numb. Like I kind of, I didn't, I'm like a crier. I'm on my period right now. I cry if I see a sad animal. There was like a period for 3 or 4 months where, I mean, I couldn't even cry. That's weird for me, and I imagine that's how people are probably feeling, just
Mhm.
disassociated, numb.
Sure.
Uh, but the videos about the animals, and and also the wild animals, it's so sad. Whatever your politics are, whatever you believe, wherever you want to place blame, whether it's climate change or if you believe in man-made climate change, which I don't believe in it the way it's presented to us. Sure, I believe we need to be better stewards of the earth, and we are the stewards of the earth, and we're not doing right by it, but I don't believe in man-made climate change the way it's
Yeah.
presented. But if you do, or if you think it was government misconduct and mismanagement and misallocation, the animals are innocent whichever way
Yeah.
you look at it, and it's our job to prevent these fires if we can,
Mhm.
which we know we can, at least
Mhm.
help prevent them to some level. Fires are
I was gonna
natural,
say,
we
at
know
least
that.
there are things that can be done that California does zero. Okay, can you keep talking so eloquently
Oh,
about this? Because Tunes decided that now she has to go to the bathroom. Okay.
yeah. So I think regardless of wherever your beliefs are on who is to blame and what the cause is, I think everyone can agree that animals are innocent and so are children, and there's a lot of stuff that hopefully upon rebuilding, which, everything I've heard is that there's going to be a lot of red tape and a lot of permits, and it's going to take years for people to be able to rebuild, to the point where they're not going to want to rebuild. They're either going to want to take their insurance checks and rebuild somewhere else, or buy a house that's already built somewhere else, because a lot of the stuff that's going on in the conspiracy realm, if you will, is talking about how they want to make 5-minute cities. They don't want single style family homes. They don't want people that own the land. They want to build big high rise condos where more people can fit in a smaller amount of space. And you will be a permanent renter for the rest of your life, and you will have no claim to the land, no ownership to the land. This is oligarchy. This is plutocracy, and it is a form of authoritarianism and rule by the elite and rule by the rich over the poor, over the peasant class, if you will. and to which I am part of. We are part of the peasant class in the eyes of the elites. And it doesn't matter if you're upper middle class. It does not matter if you make $500,000 a year. To these ruling elite people, that is still part of the fucking peasantry. Like, that is how evil these people are, and how much they look down their nose at you and think that you have the right to not anything on this earth because it's theirs, it's their resources, it's their land, it's their water, and they treat it as such. And I don't know if people are going to be able to rebuild, honestly. I think that this is a land grab, and they're going to try to do what they did to Maui, and they're going to get rid of single family style homes, and they're going to build up. They're going to build apartments and condos. And
Yeah, I saw a overlay map of the area that's burnt and the outline for the smart city, and it's right there. I mean, they basically, the destruction and the map just overlay right on top of each other.
yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
did you see the high speed rail? Did I send that to you?
that's I think that's what it was that you sent me, the thing for the high. It overlays right on top of it.
Yeah, right. Like almost the same winding path that the fire took is where
Yep.
the plans for the proposed high speed rail to take
Yeah.
place. And I don't know if it's true. So please, like, do your own research on that. I
Yeah.
am going to look more into it. But if you understand the way the ruling class works, if you understand the war, and it is a war, and it has been said by many people, last of all me, is that these are silent weapons for quiet wars. And this is warfare. You can even look it up. You can Google it yourselves. Romans used to use forest fires, as a technique of warfare against their enemies, to destroy villages, to gain territory, to come in and wipe out tribes when they were at their lowest. So these are quiet forms of warfare. And I'm sorry if I'm the first person that you're hearing that from, but none of this would surprise me if this was land grabs for some greater, what they call utilitarian. The elites love to think of themselves as utilitarians. We're doing the most good for the most people, and blah, like that's how they justify it to themselves, right? Like, but it's lies. They don't care about humans or animals
Yeah.
or the earth.
Yeah, and one thing that sorry, I keep having to deal with Miss Toon.
It sucks getting out of a cozy bed too. Where's Volty? You can see Volty. He's still
Yeah,
snoozing back there.
Did you see the lady that ran up on Gavin Newsom?
Oh, I did. That was so sad. That was I mean, it made me uncomfortable. I've watched it once all the way through, and I can't even watch it because these people are such cowards. The way they
I've got the president on the line. And then she said, well, can I hear? And he goes, well, and he backpedals and he's like, well, I can't get reception. That's but I keep dialing it. And it's just like, what goes through my head is how the fuck do these people sleep at night? And then, they sleep just fine.
Oh, I just got a flashback of one of my favorite karaoke songs, 99 Red Balloons. And there's a part where she goes, the president is on the line as 99 red balloons go by. And it's like, I do love that song. It's my number one go-to, but it is actually an anti-war song. A lot of people don't know that. The red balloons were actually
it's about the Berlin Wall falling, isn't it?
No,
or coming down.
And the red balloon part is on the radar, like during World War II and stuff, when bombs were dropping, it looked like little red balloons on the radar scanners. So it's like World War II to Berlin Wall. You know what I mean? It's kind of all of it. But it's an anti-war song. It's about, and it's all over, and I'm standing pretty, in this dust that was a city. So.
Well, it definitely looks like a war zone there. Some of the pictures are.
Oh, it looks worse than Ukraine. It looks like Gaza. LA looks like Gaza. It looks like a bombed out shell of a city,
So I watch the feeds because I don't have a TV. I watch YouTube's, and so the live feeds and the chat part of it. And I felt sick to my stomach, but it's like, what about Gaza? What about Gaza? So what if this is happening to them? It's basically like you deserve it because look at Gaza. And I just am thinking, how does one equate for this is where humans really disgust me at times. I know that what's happening over there is absolute travesty and tragedy, and it's just gross and it's genocide, and it's just like, but to wish that on people because they live in LA and not have any compassion for them is just a sign of how sick we are as a on the planet. There's so much sickness, and we talked all last year about how attached to war are you? How, on an energetic level, how attached to war are you? And you just mentioned all the way back, back in Rome when they were doing this throughout history, and it's just like this is so ingrained in so many people that they will like they I swear to God, there's no introspection on anything. And that, oh, if that's happening over here, then, fuck LA. They don't. And it's like, okay, there's maybe like a small percentage of people that are like super wealthy and live in those, like, but that doesn't mean that I would ever wish harm on anybody like that. But 180,000 people displaced is not all these uber
Rich
fucking
people.
rich
No.
people. These are families that are holding LA together. These are, kids, their schools got
I don't
burnt
know if you've
down.
like, I've seen like interviews with a lot of people, especially the people that were trying to stay and hose down every surface of the ground and roof and stuff. And a lot of these people, they were interviewed and they're like, this house has been in my family for 5 decades. That's 50 years.
Yeah.
That means that their great great grandma bought it probably at a great fucking price. And
Yep.
only because that alone, like that is what generational wealth is, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that generational wealth means wealthy or rich or
Right.
fucking like astronomically spoiled. That means that you're, by the sweat of your ancestors' backs, they fought and worked to keep something for you that was handed down to you. Like that is generational wealth, because
Yep.
at the end of the day, having a roof over your head and having that stability, just having a stable home,
Mm-hmm.
that's almost all of life's worries in one, under one roof, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, what is your very first priority? Roof over your head, electricity, food, and water.
Yep.
That's fucking it. And honestly, that's more than what half the world even has. That's what middle class is. Why do you think third world is third world? It's a third world because they don't have refrigerators, they don't have air conditioners, they don't have heaters, they don't have modern technology, they don't have the energy, first of all, because the World Economic Forum and the United Nations pay these third world leaders to not allow them to have natural gas, to not allow them to drill for petrol, to not allow them to have coal power plants because of carbon and global warming. So the ugly third world people aren't allowed to have energy, but we
Mm-hmm.
are. So like,
I
even
know.
the activist minded people like don't even get how fucking entitled they themselves and their families are, and
Yeah.
how absolutely fucking lucky they are to grow up in a country where
Yep.
you constantly have a roof over your head,
Yep.
food and water, and modern conveniences like a refrigerator
Mm-hmm.
and a washer and a dryer.
Yep.
So it's like,
And
I think
another,
sometimes these
another thing that
leftists,
makes
like, I just want to smack them. Like,
right.
do you realize how lucky you are? You
And
know?
yeah, and another thing that just sickens me is these poor people in North Carolina that got $750, and then apparently, Biden said, "Oh, we'll pay for everything," and whether or not that's true, but just that just disgusted me. I mean, the
I
lines.
don't
I
know.
saw a line today of the propane just to get propane
I
was
think they
like
sent
20
that to
miles
me.
long or some
Or
ridiculous
I
amount.
think they said like 3 hours, like a 3 hour wait just to fill your propane tank. So you can fill your little radiator heater that you have at home or whatever in your shack, whatever shed that you built while your house got washed away. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these people, I guess they're what the government, the feds would call bitter clingers. They're bitter clingers. They're not going to give up their fucking land. They don't care if they have to live off of a tent until they're able to rebuild. That's what they're going to do. Which
Mhm.
I respect. Like
Yeah,
that is mad respect to me. Like,
right.
I that's the American spirit. That's the fighting spirit, and that's that whole reason why they hate rural people, why the government hates rural America. They hate people with wells. They hate people who know how to hunt. They hate people who have their own farms, their own chickens and eggs, their own cows, their
Self-sufficient.
sheep. Yes, they don't want that. They want you dependent on them, you know? And what makes you more dependent than when your entire neighborhood, house, every single thing that you own is wiped out in one night, you know?
Mhm.
I don't really personally know anybody. I do know people secondhand that were affected by the fires, and saw some stories of, you know, their friends or their family that pictures of their house burned down to the foundation. Not a single thing is standing except
I
for
have
the brick
another friend whose
fireplace.
brother lost his home. And then I have several friends that are right there on the line, still not even sure that they won't have to evacuate. You know, because it's only 11% contained, the Palisades fire at this point. Tuna, I'm over you. Go. Fucking around.
Gotta love Petunia and her little underbite.
Little stinker. No, you're not getting any more food. Yes, get a bone. There you go. There, yes, you can have a bone.
Yes, child, you said.
She,
Self-soothe.
I swear to God, she knows every single time when I'm, yes, there you go. Good girl.
Like,
Sorry.
attention, me attention.
I'm such a meanie. I've had such a day with my animals. I've told every single one of them that they're going up for adoption if they don't shape up. They're getting shipped out. They just every single one. And I, of course, I'm kidding. If anybody's watching this, I would never. I love my, but the horses. Anyway. It was a day with all of them. The coyotes came around. They were all just. It was yeah. So
Everybody was activated and triggered.
everybody was having a day. Everybody. So yeah, I think I talked to Sarah right after I got off my ride, and I was just like, ugh. Anyway, I
I had
anyway.
a day the other day with Volt. I gave him a bath. I cut his nails. He was so pissed at me. He was so mad. Like the whole night until like the next morning. And then it was so funny because like I know when his nails get long, first of all, I could like hear the tippy tappies, but like my dog Nickel, she's Australian cattle dog, a red heeler, and like she's so active anyways, but like it's also
That's
just a
how it
type
is
of
with
nail.
animals.
Like they barely and the one time I did cut them, I couldn't tell because they're so dark black you can't see where the quick is, and
Yeah,
I cut it barely anything. I'm talking like so short. I was like, I don't even know where to cut, so I just cut the tiniest bit, started bleeding. I was like, what the hell, you know? And then you have to get
yeah,
that powder stuff to stop the
yeah,
bleeding. And but Volt, he needs it because his nails will get like, even I cut them and they still just look long. It's crazy. But he was jumping all around and like running from the living room to my bedroom and back to the living room and back. And I was like, see, I was like, I knew that you would feel better. Like, why were you so mad at me? Like, let me help you. Like,
yeah. I take Tune in to get hers done because there's no chance in hell she's letting me do it. And Annie, because we go out on the trail, she's just naturally, hers do
yeah,
it.
they're being sanded down.
Yeah, they do. She does themselves. Yeah,
Oh well,
yeah.
Volt, I have to hold his ass down. And it's if you were walking by my house, you'd be like, "Oh my God, somebody's murdering their dog in there." I have to. For those of you that don't know, though, like Volt is a fear biter. Like even to me, he loves me. I'm the only person that could hold him. Like that, I'm the only person allowed to pick him up off the ground. If anybody else tries, like he'll bite the shit out of you. You know, like he'll tolerate people, and it's better if you just ignore Volt. You know, it's the people he gets mad at are the people that are like boo 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 boo, and he's like, nah, you know what I mean? I'm like, just ignore him. Just leave him alone.
He
Like,
pissed on my horse.
yeah, he did. He pissed on, I think it was Apollo.
Walked
And
right out in the field and lifted his leg and pissed on it. It was hilarious.
I think I got it on video. I was so scared because I was like, oh my God, like all this horse has to do is just like kick him with the back leg and Voltie's done. But Apollo too was great. Remember Apollo was like obsessed with him. He was like, what is this little puffball? He was like walking
Yeah,
around sniffing him, and Volt kept like looking at him like, stop following me, you know, like
he wouldn't. He was obsessed with him. Yeah,
and
that
he'd
was.
do his little this thing, and like Volt
Yeah,
like got all scared. It was so funny.
yeah. My horses are all very good with dogs. That's one good thing. They've been very socialized like that. So, and even out on the trail when I'm riding, if there's a dog that's never seen a horse, I'm always like, no, this is your chance to really have an opportunity to be around a horse that's not going to be bothered by it. So you should take advantage of it because they're
Right.
horses are out here all the time.
Yeah, and
And so,
horses are prey animals. I mean, that's why like donkeys, horses, I mean, they don't like coyotes or and wolves, you know? So like to
mhm.
them, that's what a dog is. I mean, I think in the long run, if you raise them around dogs, like your horses clearly know the difference between Annie and Tuna and a coyote, you know?
Yeah.
But
Although I
yeah.
posted a video the other day where there was a coyote just sitting out in the field, and Apollo's like walking up to him, and the coyote ran. But I think because they see coyotes so much, and because there's plenty of rabbits, they don't get the instinctual feeling that they're going to be that there's any sort of threat.
Well, yeah,
Um,
coyotes aren't wolves either. They are more like even a pack, 4 or 5 coyotes would not go after a pen with 4 horses in it. They would get
no,
fucking stomped, you know, like they would get
yeah, no,
stomped on.
there's so I
So,
don't worry about those. It's more mountain lions coming off because they hide way back.
oh.
But we are on a wash, and there has been the neighbors have caught, um, mountain lion walking by. So that's not something I like to even verbally say out loud, but it is something that is a reality for where I live, and but for the
But
most part,
even a full-grown mountain lion, like mountain lions like to drag their prey. They would have a hell of a time dragging a full-grown horse off,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. It
yeah.
would be more
So
little goats and stuff like that I would really worry
yeah,
about,
that's
you know.
more. Yeah, so it's it's but
It's
it's
still a
like
danger. You never know. I mean,
yeah.
predators when they get hungry in survival mode, like, you know,
And
but
that's why, having your ecosystem balance, and there's plenty of coyotes, there's plenty of rabbits, there's plenty of,
javelina.
so javelina, all that stuff. So that's the one nice thing about having your ecosystem running nice. And that kind of ties back into what was just flashing through my mind in LA of all the animals and their ecosystem being completely destroyed, and having to go into more of a survival mode. Because I know you saw a video. I think you might have posted as well of the mountain lion with her baby cubs, and it's just how off balance. Let me ask you this: Have you seen the videos? I'm sure of where they suspect that it's directed energy weapons.
I mean, sometimes I don't know what to think about dew because I think that it's not even really necessary. I think that forest fires are natural and like I think I posted a thread a couple days ago about how a lot of people, because eucalyptus trees are beautiful, they smell amazing, but they are an invasive and not native to the LA, um, area. And
Mm-hmm.
people imported all these trees, and they're extremely combustible because of eucalyptus oil. They're extremely flammable, and to what end? To the end that actually the seeds of eucalyptus plants need fire in order to germinate. So they crave fire, which is why they're so fucking combustible, right? So I think that LA and places like Maui as well, it was already a powder keg waiting to
Mm-hmm.
go just because of the lack of forest management. They won't clear the
Yeah.
forest floors. They won't they won't do controlled burns. They won't, like I said, create the distance and spaces between trees because supposed environmental activists have lobbied for all of these laws to where, oh, they don't like you to clear the brush because of the ground squirrel. Or, well, how's the fucking ground squirrel doing right now? You know what I mean? How's their habitat doing right now? Because you won't allow some areas to be cleared because of all this weird red tape. And it is. And I've seen the proof of it, and people are like leftists. I've seen they're like, no, that's not true, and it's like it is true. It is true. Like the burden of proof is not. You look up these laws and these weird little red tapes, and the way that we can't get anything fucking done because there's everything is so held up in processing and appeals and courts and government regulations and all that. Like this is what bureaucracy is. This is what bureaucracy does.
Mm-hmm.
This is what a bloated bureaucracy looks like in action. And this is why I want less government. I am for common sense conservation. Yes, I'm a libertarian, little L, not big L,
Yeah.
okay?
Little L.
Little L to the ends of where um why do we need a license to hunt and blah, blah, and I because of conservation, because you are only there's things that you hunt seasonally for a reason. We have come up with hunting seasons for different
Control. Yeah.
animals
Mm-hmm.
for to control the population, and so we don't over hunt things and push animals to the brink of extinction, right? Like that's why these little laws, and I'm okay with that. Like there are certain common sense things that make
The
sense to
common
me.
sense laws. Keep talking, Sarah. I'm sorry. I
Yes,
gotta.
it's the common sense laws that make sense to me, but it's all the weird little red tapes, the hangups, how everything needs a stamp, how everything needs a fee, how these stupid little laws hinder conservation efforts that would have prevented, if not prevented fully, this shit from happening. It would have at least created some infrastructure to control the fire more, and we've bloated everything up so big and so massive that you can't even get anything done. And to me, like, that's not common sense. That is fucking ridiculous. It is clown world bullshit. And California needed to get a grip. They need less fucking government. They need less red tape. They need
Yeah,
common sense things. Like it.
that Julia Michaels, is that her name? I think her name might be Julia Michaels.
Oh yeah,
She's
the workout lady.
a fitness lady. She
Hmm.
said that after she went through a fire, and to even drain her pool took a year because
Not just the pool, to even get the permit to clean the debris,
yeah,
because all that shit is toxic.
yeah, and they're so, like, to me that just that's beyond, it's just beyond my comprehension, that, and it seems like they keep voting for it. And so that's where, for me, it's mind-boggling, um, that well, I think that the two sides, it's all bullshit. So, um, you know, you and I are Ron Paul people, so it's to us, it just doesn't it just doesn't register. It just
Yeah.
does not register. And I guess that maybe if enough shit like this happens, and if people are personally affected by it, that perhaps now that's how things change, I guess. Where I would have thought that this would have been something that would have already long since happened, because California just fucking sucks. I mean, I left 16 years ago, and um, I just, well, I've said it many times. I don't know how people can't see certain things, and but there are people that literally just cannot fucking connect dots. They are not self-reflective. They are, whether it's, they just look for the R, or they just look for the D. And I'm not, both sides have their own disgusting ways about them, which is why, I'd prefer that we had as little as possible, and that, because government's not supposed to be a fucking reality show. And even with Trump, it turns into this big fucking reality show. And and with Elon Musk, and then, like, God, there's so many things we could talk about tonight, because now it goes into the immigration with those visas, and then now on the red team, we have the tech reds and the not tech reds and the infight. Like, it's just like, wow. Like, will anything? Yes, I think things will change. As I understand it, Trump coming into office, he's already got 100 executive orders or more to put right into play. So we'll see how that goes. But it's just mind-boggling to me that it takes, because I even have friends that I'm still friends with on Facebook that I knew from when I lived in LA, and I was always an odd duck out of everybody because I was so Ron Paul. And one of them, like, when the COVID stuff, she just thought that Cuomo was just this hunk, and
Ew.
right, and she's from, I think, she's from back in those parts, but such a hardcore Democrat that you just cannot see beyond that letter. And that just, because I'll be honest with you, if the right person came along and it was something I was voting on, and it was a Democrat, but I liked the policy better, I wouldn't be like, can't do that because you're a Democrat. I just don't function like that. My brain doesn't function like that. So
Well, no, that's because you're not a loyalist, and that's actually the difference between a free thinker. Is I don't owe loyalty to a party, and in fact, I will break ranks when it comes to my morality, when it comes to positions that I will not I will fucking stand on this hill. Like I will die on this hill, and I will not toe a party line just in order to be accepted by a friend group, in order to appear liberal and loving and not bigoted or whatever. Like these are all just
Virtue
words that have been,
signaling.
yeah, virtue signaling. Like I will not do any of that. And that is like my main problem with activism in general. All the weird BLM shit, all the weird environmental activist shit. It's all just fake fucking LARPing, basically. And
Mm-hmm.
even when I've had a few discussions the past couple days with some friends and acquaintances in the community, and they're just so quick to overuse words like fascism without even realizing what fascism is. Like, oh, it's important to remember about fascism, like because I posted something that Donald Trump wrote in 2019 about how they mismanaged their forests and their water allocation, and she was basically insinuating that Trump is a fascist, and I'm like, I don't. It's like that Princess Bride. I don't. You keep on using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Like, and it's like
Yeah.
fascism means corporatism, and you can quote me on that, and you can quote Mussolini on that. That fascism should be more aptly called corporatism because it is corporate state and government coming together to rule over the peasant class. And so who is doing that more than the Democrats? I mean, look at Kamala Harris's husband. I think we did talk about it last time. All of his retirement is in BlackRock. Like, you follow the fucking money. These people are the fascists that you
Mm-hmm.
claim to hate, but yet you only associate it with the R's, the red, the other side of the fucking. No, like they are two birds, two wings of the same bird. They are both fascists, but corporate fascists. I mean, our government is a fucking corporation. The federal bureaucracies are basically corporations. They function like corporations. They have revolving doors with corporations, from FDA to Monsanto and all this. You know what I mean? Like this is the fascist state. So when I post something, that a tweet that Trump made in 2019, you're like, oh, but this is how fascist. No, your side is also the fascist. Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't talk to me about fascism. And to be quite honest, I don't give a fuck about fascism, Marxism, communism. The only thing that I fucking care about, that is my fear, my ultimate fear, is totalitarianism and authoritarianism. And I don't care if it's left wing authoritarianism or right wing authoritarianism. I despise both of them fucking equally. And if you are a leftist who complied with vaccine mandates, who thought people should be forced to take experimental drugs against their will, I have fucking news for you. That is fascism. And not only is it fascism, it is old school Nazism, because the fucking Nazis was a medical dictatorship that forced medical programs, that forced medical euthanasia, that forced medical experimentation. That is old school fascist Nazism. And that's what the fucking left did. So don't talk to me about fascism. Like I am over it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we talked about it last show that we did. Like that's where that libertarian pipeline was the reason that I even had any sort of hope for any of it, was that, you know, for Ron Paul to come out and say something means something to me. And to watch the Nicole Shanahan, just to know that there's going to be some sort of a pipeline, that's where I'll put my hope that something good comes out of all of this administration, is because I know that there's a strong libertarian pipeline to that White House. So and then you just hope that it trickles out a little bit. But I would say out of I just think that overall the left is well, if you're still standing up for transgenderism and all these, the flag and all these different things, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't see what that is, and forcing people to, oh, you're a homophobe if you don't like the gay pride. Like, go to your pride, but keep the kids home. These things of, like, you're forcing things in people's faces and down their throats, and it's
Yeah, I mean,
not.
it's all the weird sexuality shit, the furries, the
Yeah.
BDSM. Like I'm sorry, what side of type of cuckoo person thinks a gay pride parade is a place for kids and families. It's not, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. These are adult things. You're talking about sex. Like, is there a straight pride parade where straight people are walking around fucking naked, making out, and like waving a weird flag? No, okay? Like, it's not necessary. If you want to celebrate, that's fine. I've even been to pride parades pre-weird children shit when there were no kids there, okay? Because it has never been a place for kids. Dudes walking around in leather thongs and fucking police hats with like leather paddles or whatever. Like, the kids do not need to see this. And I'm sorry. And, you know, like, I do believe a lot of these people were most likely victimized as children. Something probably happened to them. And the number one proponent of, you know, PDF philia is that were themselves molested. It is a predator. It is a victim to predator pipeline. It is a psychological term. Feel free to look it up. That people who were victimized go on to victimize others. That is just the nature of fucking reality. That is human nature. It is psychological nature. And for whatever reason, these people need to justify it because it makes them feel okay with what happened to you. Well, it fucking wasn't okay what happened to you, okay? It wasn't okay to you, and it's not okay for you to fucking pervert and expose children to your weird sexualities. It's not okay. Kids will discover that shit on their own when they hit puberty. It is very natural. They have a very short amount of time to be innocent and pure and have fun and not worry about adult things, okay? Like, they have a very small childhood is a very small portion of your life before you're 13 years old and you want to get your tongue pierced and like, listen to Marilyn Manson. That's what I wanted to do when I was 13. You know what I mean? Like, not that my parents would ever allow me, but I'm just saying, like, before you've got a solid 10 years to just be a fucking kid, and then you have the rest of your life to be a fucking degenerate if you want to, you know? But like, let kids be fucking kids, man. Let them worry about playing make-believe and playing Barbies and playing tag with their friends and having sleepovers with pizza parties and pillow fights and shit. Like, you don't need to expose them to this prematurely. They will figure it out on their own. Just let them be. Like, that's all I have to say about it. And as far as the experimenting on kids and the trans surgeries and the puberty blockers, I hate to break it to you leftists, but that is actual experimentation, and we are not supposed to experiment on kids. We still don't know the outcomes of these, and it is proven, and I have heard myself transgender doctors talk about how if you give a boy puberty blockers before Tanner stage 2 development, they will never experience an orgasm, they will never come to climax, and they will never sexually mature. Great, you've just created a Peter fucking Pan syndrome. Good job. Ooh, like, it's so insane to me. Like,
there's finally I'm seeing more and more interviews and detransitioning stuff. And I actually have someone on my Facebook feed who, a lesbian who I just absolutely adore. And she's, this is common sense stuff. And there are plenty of people in the community that are against it. So it's certainly not a blanket statement here, but that she's finally starting to post stuff of that the pendulum is swinging and there's, things are starting to come out. But boy, we did go through a pretty rough period of whether it's cancellation, this fear that came in. I remember, hi, Volty. I remember, well, clearly it hasn't been that long, but what the atmosphere was like, that if you had any voice out of the left mainstream narrative, that you were just this redneck asshole, that you were,
I'm
you're
gonna
not.
take my phone with me. I'm just gonna block out the camera so I can take him outside real quick.
Yeah, we
Okay.
got to do what we got to do.
I'll still be here.
Tune did the same thing. She's got her bone.
He just woke up from a nap, and I can tell.
You got to go potty, Bolt.
Yes.
Well, maybe we'll start to see more and more of the climate change back to common sense. And
I think we already are, honestly, from everything that I've seen. And actually, I did see that the Supreme Court finally ruled on that Title IX business, and they ruled in favor of women in biology. And the Title IX from the Supreme Court, like the female sports Title IX, that was.
Oh yeah, that's the one that I was telling my friend that she posted. So I was reading that the other day.
Yeah, they did favor on the side of women and common sense and biology, and I couldn't be more happy and glad because as a woman, there's nothing that's more infuriating than being told that you don't exist and you're just a figment of a man's imagination and there's nothing unique about your body and your anatomy and that we're just little men and we're fucking not. And I take great offense to that. It is absolutely disgusting. Women have sovereignty. Women are a sex class. We're able to form as a sex class, and it's just such a slap in the face and disgusting listening to actual biological men tell me that no, I'm wrong and there's nothing unique about women and women don't deserve special protections under the law, and that by the way, these aren't privileges, these are protections for women that Western society has granted us, and they're not rights. Women's rights are not rights, they're protection. And who are we protected from? Men. And I don't care if it's gay men or trans men. Men are men, I'm sorry. And
yeah, and even in the jails, the poor women that are being attacked and pregnant, there's we've mentioned it before that they're the most vulnerable women in prison. And so yeah, that, and like, even as I'm saying this, sometimes I can't believe that I'm having the conversation. I still can't wrap my brain around how fucking weird things have gotten. Like,
yeah, it feels very surreal and dystopic,
like even that boxer that we covered that one time back, can't remember when, but now it's come out that of course it was a male. Like, but if you said
yeah.
anything, somehow you're the dickhead because you're like, no, that's a male. And then people like hopped on. I remember people were hopping on my page and Facebook page and, trying to tell me what an asshole I am. It's like, how the fuck did we get here? I mean, I know I get it. It's like,
Yeah, people wanted to fight and argue and call you a bigot. I mean, call me a bigot, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, I'm sorry. Yes, I understand that there are intersex conditions, and I understand that's actually a part of biology too. But even amongst intersex people, which by the way, the vast majority of intersex conditions affect biological males. They affect people with XY chromosomes, and that alone, that it's very easy to determine what is a man and what is a woman, and it's what kind of sex gamete do you produce, and that ends the discussion right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Sex gametes are sex cells, and you either have a large immobile gamete, which would be an egg for a woman, or you have small mobile sex gametes, which would be sperm for men, and that is the only determination of your sex. And I'm sorry if that hurts your fucking feelings, but that is just life. That is reality, and it might be harsh to you, but
Tough
Mother
shit.
Nature is a harsh bitch, a cruel bitch. It's been said before, and it's
She
true.
is a cruel bitch. Yes.
And Mother Nature doesn't care about your ideology. You know what I mean? And it's disappointing when I see fellow women, fellow creatures in my sex class, side with men, and mentally ill men at that, and
Yep.
men
Absolutely.
who want to trample on women, because ultimately that's what it is. I do think there's a weird, not amongst all trans people. I don't like lumping any group in a huge box, but
Yeah.
amongst the AGP type, there is a resentment towards women, and it's almost like they want to crush us under their boot. And I mean, you're gonna have to fucking kill me, because I'll never admit, I'll never give in, and I will die on this hill waving that women exist and women have sovereignty and women have physical bodies that can't be imagined out of existence. And I'm sorry if that hurts your fucking feelings, but I'm actually not sorry. So
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
sorry, not sorry. Like, I will die on this hill that women exist in their own category and their own biological category. Like,
yeah. It's just the power. We've talked about it so many times. Just the power of programming, and that having a phone. It used to be that was kind of MK Ultra type stuff. You had a private military base, and you kind of had to work for your mind control. now. It's as simple as just predictive programming, having a phone, putting stuff enough into the pipeline that, and most people just aren't really that critical of thinkers.
Now it's as simple as the Biden administration calling up Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook and demanding that they remove things and screeching daily that they need to take this down and not allow people to say this and not allow people to say that. And it's just so funny because all the people that laughed when we said that, conservatives and Republicans and libertarians and really anybody who broke away from their ideology was being censored, they all laughed. That can't be because the left doesn't censor people. Give me a fucking
Well,
break,
he's
dude.
grown
Give
his
me a
hair
break.
out, so Zuck's looking like he's a cool dude now,
Like a
and
poodle.
on Rogan, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't stomach. I could only watch. I watched the beginning. I couldn't
Oh,
watch it. I
I've
just
only seen
couldn't
clips.
watch it.
I didn't even have the inclination to sit down and watch it. I just his little beady eyes, man. There's something he has that you sent it to me. He has that 1,000-yard stare that we were talking about. There's something about his eyes, and it's also a little too sus that now that the boys are back in town and now that the culture war has kind of shifted, it's very convenient for him to come out now on the other side. That actually just shows that you're a fucking coward. If
He's a bitch.
you only give in because the war has shifted and now you're scared that something's going to happen to you, you're a fucking coward, and I don't respect cowards. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
I don't respect them,
absolute fucking
and I
bitch ass
definitely don't
coward.
trust them.
And I saw some people who were like, okay, well, we're gonna test this now, and so they posted something that before would have gotten him banned, and I didn't see how it played out, but I'll be curious to see if he's really even what really will even fucking change. But and he started the image change about 6 months ago because he started releasing videos where he's out doing like his ski do, or he's out, with his body like his O'Neill kind of hi Volty. His he's out there out there in the boat, but he's got his hair is longer and anyway. It just became obvious that he was
Oh, he
switching
got
his
the shave
image up
too.
to be more uh well.
He did to be more of a Giga Chad,
I was
basically.
gonna say like he can't be cool, but to try. Um, and
Which
then
also, which because he's trying so hard, like that is a classic, what we would call a try hard. He's trying too fucking hard. He looks like he's trying too hard, and it has the opposite effect. Whenever you see a try hard, it's like, ugh, it gives you the ick, it gives you the cringe. It's like,
yeah,
oh man, like they're trying so hard. It's like, ugh,
yeah,
slimy almost, like do less, like
it
do more
is.
of your yeah, like
It is. So yeah, I could hardly even watch it because I mean, and I don't even believe it, but you know, I imagine that part of it is that the administration is changing and that basically you better do it or else you're not, like almost like a if you don't do this then like go out in public and say all this or you could actually get in trouble if if things come out. So I mean I don't know if that's true. That was just kind of a um, I get the impression that well like with immigration and I get the sense there's going to be some crackdowns in some ways for a lot of things and so whether or not it actually happens with Facebook because I will tell you this I as a business owner and I do still find value in using Facebook for my business and Instagram for my business. So I would certainly like to, but I've been on a list for so fucking long. I don't know how I've gotten to the kind of following I have on on Facebook. So it's still the same. Like I have to like highlight at this like to get certain things in my feed. So of course I'd like to see that change. I'd like to be able to grow my business and not feel like I have to censor things and and that I'm getting suppressed in the algorithm with my business because I have a certain political or because my beliefs are not what the left is,
Right.
and so I would like to see that change. um, I think a lot of people would like to feel um, those changes. Whether or not the fucker will actually do it is another. I mean, even with Elon Musk with X, he had a fucking meltdown over the visas, and he's like, "You dumb, basically you dumb motherfuckers, and I'll die on this hill." And then he ended up like blocking or like canceling. I'm like, okay, little boy, like now, like that's a little scary to me. Like that he can just have a hissy fit one day and go against all of his own fucking platform rules. I don't like that very much.
No, but it also kind of like, in a weird way with Elon, it's like, oh, the lady doth protest too much. It kind of revealed him as that type of like what is the word? Almost like a robber baron, the old school monopolies, like the old school huge venture capitalist or whatever, like to the point where it's like this benefits him because of cheap labor, so like
Mhm.
it's almost like he showed too much of his hand, because which I appreciate. Actually, I love when people
Yeah,
reveal
yeah.
themselves, especially through their own hubris and ego. Like, for some, I'll die on this hill. What? Well, why is that, Elon? Like, how does this benefit you? And maybe I think a lot of people, Musk and Trump and everyone, myself included, sometimes you act subconsciously, right? Like, you don't even realize your own intentions, because you didn't even stop to ask yourself, well, like, well, why do I feel so strongly about this? Like, how do I benefit from having this opinion? And it's like, especially when you are the richest man in the world,
Mhm.
you should be asking yourself those questions, because he benefits from it by cheap labor. And I'm sorry, you can't be pro-American and pro-American worker and also pro-imported slave labor, because at the end of the day, that is what it is. If they're importing this whole class of people that they can pay less, they are importing witting or unwitting slaves, per se, because we're going to use them like that. And at the same time, you're undermining the middle class and American workers. And now they're also unemployed. So how are they and their family going to flourish? It's just like all these things. And it's like, I like that he revealed himself, because I never trusted Elon. I fucking hate electric cars. They're not green. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, friends, your little Prius is not a green vehicle. It has a lithium battery. Lithium mines pollute the earth for 500 years. You know what I mean? There's no way to get rid of the byproduct of
Mhm.
a lithium mine and a cobalt
Yeah,
mine, and also the
yeah.
copper that's needed. The mining that you and your shit
All of it.
requires is not green. Okay, I hate to break it to you. So I don't like Elon already. I also never liked his weird AI brain chip shit. Like, all of that is very New World Order to
I
me.
think he's already got the Neuralink. I do. I think he Neuralinked himself. I'm convinced that
he
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 has.
has some he has something, girl. I thought it was the tism, but maybe he has the neural
I
link
think
tism.
I have said I've been saying it for because I actually saw a show of one of the guys, the first guy that has it, and what he's actually been able to accomplish as a paraplegic. Which and there's that is it's pretty amazing. But I'm convinced that he already has Neuralink. Convinced. There's
Yeah,
something
I I
otherworldly,
I mean,
and
I
to
wouldn't
want to
be
go to
surprised.
Mars because
The
there's
only the only
water
reason
and
why I would think maybe not yet is only because I think that he's a coward himself, and there's probably not enough testing on it yet for him to feel. I believe that if he doesn't have it, he will get it at some point, but maybe after some more people have been tested on. You know what I mean?
then he's got okay. He's got access to information and to computers that So he's just different. I mean, obviously, he's he's a he's a different cat. And after he wore that Halloween costume with the upside down cross. Now, mind you,
Oh
I think
yeah.
they're all playing on the archetypes of heaven and hell and Satan and Jesus. I think they fuck with people's internal systems and stories with archetypes through all of that. And I'm not in that world as far as a believer. I hold the archetype of the Christos in my heart, but as far as like any of the biblical stuff, I just don't. It's not my jam. Because I also think that these people purposely play and prey on people who do believe that. And so him wearing that upside down cross or whatever it was, whatever he did on Halloween, I think that it's just kind of an in your face fuck you. I think your religion's retarded, and I'm going to play. I'm not saying. I'm saying he's saying that
Oh,
that
okay.
I think your religions are
Come on.
retarded, and I'm going to fuck with you.
Go, go.
And while I don't necessarily disagree, they are cults in my opinion. I hi Volti, and I think that that's how a lot of Christians get played on, is because they have been, um, and well, we're not really a Christian country, but we're a beautiful country with beautiful people, and I think that it's just to me sickening how these people prey on the average person, because it's not, to grow up in a church and believe in what you believe in doesn't mean that you should be preyed upon and taken advantage of. And
Mm-mm.
I think that these people are more, maybe let's call them a narcissist class, and they prey on the good hearts of people that are just empathetic good people. And it's sickening to me.
It is
um
sad, and yeah, they prey on the masses. They
mhm.
prey on the weak. They also prey on the uneducated. You know, that's why, what is it? A George Carlin quote where he says something like, they want you dumb enough, like, not to question, like, the government, but they want you just smart enough to operate the machines. You
And
know,
work.
like, I mean, it's actually really weird, especially like all these weird, I mean, it's like DEI policies basically within schooling in very leftist states where all these kids are graduating, they can't even read. They're at a second, third grade reading level, and they just pass them. They just graduate them. There's no more proficiency exams, which is like, it's scary. It's very
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, but I guess that's, with idiocracy, that's what you get. You just, you'll just sit in front of your TV, we'll give you a whatever it is, and you won't really qualify to do much. So we'll just keep you at just a base level, almost retarded. Um, and that to me is, it's just so, like I said, I say these things and I'm like, are we really having this discussion right now? Are we really, like we are? I know we're both here, and I know we're both, the fact that we've even had this come into our brains is just like, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
the fact that it's the reality and that it's like that it's in
yeah,
the reality.
yeah. Yeah, I saw the meme that's been going around as the fire hydrant that's painted with all the rainbows and the fire behind it. It couldn't be more of a, like, but it
I
looks
think about
pretty.
I saw the other one that was similar, but it was like it was a picture of one of the fire hydrants that was stolen.
Stolen?
Yeah, all these fire hydrants have been stolen. I mean, because there's it's metal. You know what I mean? So like, I have dudes in my neighborhood that I've seen they're scrappers, and I've put shit out there like an old stove, and the next day it was gone. And I've seen them on their truck. They'll go around, they'll grab anything metal, they take it down to the scrap yard, and they get fucking money for it.
Huh.
You can literally sell anything. There's these power boxes behind my house, and I mean, I live downtown, but I also live like very downtown. There's, a homeless encampment, not even a half a mile from my house. I could walk there and be there in 10 minutes. And I've caught people in my backyard, trying to come in my backyard. There's a power
What?
box that they constantly like take the top off of it. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen videos of it, but it happens here in Vegas, like street lights. If you look at the bottom of the street light, there's like a tiny little box cover, and then through it is all the electrical wiring. And they'll fucking break them open and they'll steal the copper wires out of them. It's insane.
I mean,
So
I grew up on a ranch and we had irrigation system and the pipes, and it's pretty extensive. And I do know at one point that they started locking up all of our equipment because there was the same sort of thing, and that's up in Oregon. So I don't hear much about. I mean, I just haven't in Sedona. I'm not around too much like that. Anything really. Although there's more and more. There's more homeless people than there used to be.
I'm sure, yeah.
A lot of people that are now van life and camping out and certain things that is around here. So, I mean, to some extent, it's everywhere, I suppose. What was the kind of the feel for in Vegas with the Trump assassination, or not assassination, but the car blowing up, which just happened to be a
to
Tesla.
me, it's just
That whole thing.
especially after experiencing the Vegas Harvest 50 or 31, whatever it's called, the massacre at the Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
The Root Harvest Festival or whatever. That was such a huge psyop. I mean, there's still just so many unanswered questions and none of it makes sense. And I know people don't, like I've said it a lot of times in this show, that people are so busy that that's kind of the point of the hamster wheel. It's to keep people too busy with their lives to question things, but it still is a trauma. It's traumatizing on your psyche. And people they have kids, they have jobs, they have school, they have, you know what I mean, some multiple jobs, they have social lives, their kids have social lives, and it's like, you're so busy, how can you really sit here and dump that much time into wondering if everything was exactly as the narrative was, and so even with this, it's like none of it makes sense. It's weird. Oh, the guy had PTSD, he was active duty, he had that highest security clearance that you can have. And it's like, it just seems like a
Did you watch the
patsy.
Shane Ryan interview?
Shane Ryan.
Yeah, apparently he sent a text he had a guy on the show, and the guy sent him an email beforehand. And I don't, something, he was over in Iraq. He was saying that they were drones and that.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact specifics of it. But then I saw Vegas PD or the FBI came out and said, yes, it is confirmed that those emails were from him. And that's the last I heard about it. So I thought that was interesting. But then there's speculation that Shane Ryan and all these guys are actually, they're their own plants in their own way because they're so military oriented that they would support a World War III sort of thing. So, so that they're claiming that they might be part of it. So again, there gets to be so much information that, what the fuck? But I mean, come on, you went and got a Tesla and parked it in front of, and then there's some video that show that his head is moving. So did he really shoot himself? I mean,
I saw,
like you
like,
just
also
said,
it was like, he apparently, this dude was a bomb specialist, right? Like, that was part of his security clearance. Like, he actually knew how to make like highly efficient explosives or whatever. So like the explosives in the car were very rudimentary, right? And apparently, I don't know if he wrote it or he alluded to the fact that, like, he knew that in the Tesla truck it would be contained, and it was supposedly, yes, a message, but it was more to like a cry for help, to like a martyr. Somebody said, like, he martyred himself, like, to bring attention or something like that. But it's still just like,
and then
I mean,
I don't,
and it's also, if he was some sort of patsy, or who even knows, some sort of, PTSD is a form of trauma, and they can manipulate that. So if he's some sort of MK Ultra type, like, I don't fucking know. The whole thing is weird, though.
Well, but the other guy, they were all from the same, was it Fort Bragg? So
Yeah,
they were both there at the same time, or I think, I can't remember. Maybe I just
I don't think they
made
were
that.
there at the same time, but I think that they were like in Afghanistan or Iraq or something like that at the same
Something
time.
like that. And
Yeah.
then now the other guy, because we've talked about all these people coming over the border and sleeper cells, and there's a woman that was on the Shane Ryan show, the blonde haired woman, I think Sarah Adams.
Oh yeah.
Interesting interview with that. And so talking about, I mean, she said it in that this sort of stuff, said it right there. So was he part of a sleeper cell? The one that the one that where was the other one in New Orleans? Is that
Mm,
part of what? Because I mean, I like he's just a real estate guy, and I mean, then you hear the backstory. Wife left him. I mean, I think there were several things going on there, but are these the sleeper cells that these guys were talking about? That can just be activated at any time like this to do these crazy things? I
well,
don't
it
know.
did kind of remind me of that one show. So I'm gonna look it up really quick because I can't remember what it's called. But I did see, I think, the first two seasons of it. Oh yeah, it's called Homeland, and it's with Claire Danes, and she plays like a CIA agent. And I recently, a clip has been going around. I think, I don't know if home, I don't think it's still active, but it is a good show. And it she's a CIA agent, and she kind of turns people, but she also, like, they have assets, so they kind of like control certain individuals, right? And like the narrative that is spun for you is very rarely the narrative that actually happened. And there was a clip that came out of her recently on Colbert's show, and this is from a few years ago when she was still filming Homeland, and she mentions about how the CIA has roots and like assets in Hollywood. And she
Yeah,
starts to mention how they get out certain narratives through Hollywood, and literally Colbert like cuts off what she's saying and like goes to a commercial break. And when they come back, it's like on a totally different subject. And it's like these things are unspoken, but they're
mhm,
very fucking known that this is
yeah. They
predictive
have a whole
programming.
script department.
Well, and predictive programming, and like they also
Yeah.
like let loose little secrets too, like weird things, weird cues about the nature of reality, and even like how far advanced we are with like UFO technology, or even like alien tech, or when it comes to dimensions and
Mhm,
spaceships going into dimensions or whatever, you know what I mean,
mhm,
wormholes and stuff like that.
mhm.
So
Well, the
they
Pope
do
just opened up a
control.
new one.
What? Oh yeah, I saw that. A Heaven's Gate.
Mhm. Yep. Wink, wink.
Yeah, he opened up a gate. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Shit is weird, man. Reality's weird. I think truth is stranger than fiction, but it is weird how I also feel like, even with like whatever that show I mentioned, or that movie Chinatown from 1974, I think that the ruling elite and the World Economic Forum, Davos Group, United Nations, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the Bill Gates people, those people, they aren't very creative. So I feel like sometimes they even use fiction that has been written, like even with the Bible, right? They say, is the Bible really coming true, or is it manifest destiny that somebody is manifesting for us?
Mhm.
Like I think they look
Yeah.
at these and then they make them real, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't know if one I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but it's very interesting.
Well, it's all I've always heard like these people with maybe it started with like David Icke with this reptilian kind of shapeshifters that they don't have the ability to create. That's not they don't have it. That's why the big loosh on our energy and siphoning off of the creativity because they absolutely don't have the ability to do that. So you get all your script writers and get all these things in LA, but you have strategically placed handlers everywhere, and you just take it, and then run with it and make it part of the program. I mean, Hollywood magic wands are made out of Hollywood, or they were. It's kind of a
They were,
when I
yeah.
was in when I was in acting school. I mean, it's called The Craft, and you turn on your TV and watch a program, and it's all right there. And it's why it's why I got rid of my TV after acting school. I was like, no, I knew I didn't want to be an actress. I did like producing, and I liked a radio show. I liked the production, and I liked the orating, and I didn't mind being on stage so much, but to actually like all the headshots and it's just such a just a not something I would ever wanted to pursue as like something
Honestly,
serious.
that was my downfall with music even. It's just the constant self-promotion, the
Mhm.
pictures, and it's just like I kind of just don't have it in me, but also like I don't know, like I'm riddled with self-doubt. I just am, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I'm clearly like a fairly confident individual in my views and my voice. I know I can sing, but it's just like the putting it out there part that I've always failed at.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I wish, damn, if you could hire an advertising, PR, like that's the best thing to do because then you yourself don't have to do it because there's something just feels so shallow and like ego driven about
Yeah.
like the self promotion aspect that I'm just like, ugh, like, and it's exhausting to me,
Yeah.
like I think
Yeah.
some people thrive in that. And I know like
Yeah.
models and people who like, they make their own calendars and they're putting themselves out there all the time. And it's like, honestly, I commend them because that shit it's not easy,
No, it's not. God, even just the amount of, I mean, how many times having headshots done and got a couple commercials out of it. That was, nothing. But I did honestly when my first radio show, that's when I knew I found my voice. I enjoy this sort of platform. I absolutely enjoy this very much. And I, it doesn't, as far as the promotion of this, it's not something that like, I mean, I don't have it in my head that, you know, okay, we need to start doing professional shots so that we can start promoting. It doesn't have, it has a much more organic, authentic feel to me. And so I thoroughly enjoy it. Um, but the whole kind of scene, um, I suppose maybe it's because the success that, and it's not even famous, but to make any money at it, if like this wouldn't be, I wouldn't do this because I thought this is how I was going to make my money. If
Oh
something
yeah.
fun,
Yeah,
if
no, this is
something fun came out of it and it did grow into that, that's a whole nother thing. But like what I do with the horses and what I do with trauma is so rewarding and satisfying that promoting that and having that be my how I serve, how I live, that kind of promotion is just so different than than how I felt when I was living in LA and in that environment.
yeah,
And
like
maybe
promoting
it's
yourself
because
as an artist too, it's just like, yeah, whether that be acting, modeling, singing, it just that alone could be its own job, which it is its own job. People who, like I said,
yeah,
they do advertising and PR and shit like that. And likewise, if somebody came along, they listened to us and they were, I don't know, somehow we got past to somebody who liked us and they're like, hey, we want to be like a producer and maybe we could like get
yeah,
y'all, like more professional equipment or something like that. Like I would
yeah,
be so down for that. It's just
absolutely.
I have a very limited knowledge of editing and I don't, I mean, I would have to take a class to learn how to do that. And like, I would be down, but it's just, I don't know. I don't even know where to
Yeah, I
start,
mean, I can do the thumbnails, but even my computer, I barely have enough storage like, and I don't have $5,000 to upgrade to do what I would need to do, and I'll put $5,000 into my horses before I'll put $5,000 into a new computer, that sort of thing. But um, you know, I I don't know, maybe I've kind of got a little off on this because I certainly because I don't want to. It's just acting wasn't my jam. I'll leave it
Yeah.
at that,
No,
you know?
definitely. But I'm sure it had its purpose in your life, like I don't think anything is
Sure.
wasted.
No, 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 because that's then it parlayed into a one-woman show doing stand-up comedy and then doing that. So certainly I wouldn't, and I, writing, producing, acting, directing, I like, the four quadrants of the brain. I like the Leo in me does like to, I don't mind being on stage. I think it's just more the LA environment, more this, the, well, I had an agent for a while, but the amount that it takes to to really to really get somewhere in that business is just it's for me it was an unrealistic. Once I got into it, it was like this is just not who I am. I'm not a cutthroat person. I'm competitive against myself. I'm a very competitive against myself kind of person. I'm a very driven to do better for me. I'm not a cutthroat competitor. And it
Same.
just
Same.
it's just a very cutthroat environment that I don't have those kind of teeth for. I want to help people's dreams come true. I want that it was just so cutthroat and just kind of icky.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, it's opposite of what you do now. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
sure, you still have an outlet, with shows and your own show and doing this. And I know sometimes, you're interviewed on other shows and like that's a great outlet. But then what you do in your to make private income, with your horse medicine, and it's like you're healing people. You're actually creating calm, centeredness,
Mhm.
peace, unity. You're not cutthroat, like it's just like
Yeah.
you clearly, and it's okay that you weren't made for that because you're doing what you were made for now, but like you
Yeah.
as a younger person, as a younger Kim, you had to learn that cutthroat wasn't for you, and then now you're here and you're like,
Yeah.
you
And
know
everything does prepare you for the next thing.
it
Yeah.
does, yeah.
Um, I certainly, yeah, it's, yeah, but I'm not a cutthroat. I'm just not a cutthroat type person.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they have the fires contained yet. Hopefully on our next show, all this fire shit will be done. I mean, gosh.
Yeah, I think the last one I saw was 11% contained in the Palisades, and they're expecting
Mm.
the winds to pick up. So, um, you know, yeah, hearts and just prayers go out
Yeah, prayers for
to
rain,
all of
prayers
that.
for Yeah, I mean, it's true, like, it's indescribable, and I mean, it's absolutely just devastating, like, losing everything like that, your kids losing everything like that, especially if you have, kids and stuff, and it's like, I've started from nothing, when I was 18, and I've lost a storage unit before, and, like, I've had to start from ground zero, and it's not fun, it's hard, but that I just had
Mhm.
myself and, like, my dog, but, like, imagining
Yeah,
starting from 0 with a whole family, that is just
yeah,
like, there's not words for that, so I just hope
there
these
there
people are
really
able
aren't.
to find peace, I hope they're able to either move California or I don't know if they I hope people do decide to stay and rebuild and put their fucking foot down and be bitter clingers so these stupid BlackRock corporations can't come up and scoop up the fucking land like I think they want to. I hope Californians, I hope this kind of wakes them up a little bit, Southern Californians, like maybe to the point where they're kind of where Orange County is, because Orange County's a little bit more red
Yeah,
than,
that's a
you
whole
know.
different animal down in Orange County, for
And
sure.
my uncle, I was telling somebody actually, my uncle Mike Morgenstern, I was in his wedding as a flower girl, and I sang "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" when I was like 8 because I'm such a huge fucking ham. But he's been a fire chief, a battalion fire chief in Orange County for over 35 years, and he has a lot to say about this stuff, especially, in Orange County it is different. It's a different county. They have different local, government and stuff like that, but they still are kind of forced to kowtow to what the state legislates as far as, forest clearing and stuff like that. And my uncle is definitely more right leaning, as a fire chief. And he's pretty outspoken about just how awful the hindrance of like
All of it, all the
prevention,
red tape. Mhm.
prevention, just how much like how much the firefighters are prevented from preventing the fires. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, I'm like you. I hope that something like this kind of devastation kind of does wake things up a little bit, and that maybe we can get out of the left-right paradigm fighting and just do what's right.
yeah, let's
Common
just,
sense.
again, let's find the common, let's move back towards the center. Let's go towards
Yeah.
common sense. Let's do things that work
Mhm.
for everyone,
Yeah.
especially the long run. Like, I get it. We all care about little critters and little animals and little fish and salmon, but it's like, we're not doing them any favors if we can't prevent huge fires and devastating floods, if we don't build more reservoirs and more
Yeah.
gutters and more drains. You know what I mean? Like, we
That's why
have to
we
do
have
this.
opposable thumbs, is because we do make these, like, we are the stewards. You know, they aren't making the decisions. You know, it's yeah. And smelt fish are probably great little fish, but at the end of the day, human life, like, yeah, just
But
common
because
fucking
it's not just human life, though. Like, you see how this actually didn't just affect humans. It has
yeah.
now affected, this is now there, this is habitat loss. And that's the other
All yeah.
thing I've been posting about it. It's just like, habitat loss is the number one cause of animal extinction. It is the number one cause of threatening, directly impacting wildlife, is loss of habitat. And that's loss of habitat as far as fires like this go, flooding, loss of habitat from solar and wind farms. You know what I mean? So, like, all of this is not green, and if,
Yeah.
I know you think that you're helping little creatures here and there, but they will
You're
survive.
not.
And actually, we would have benefited them more and protected
Yes.
them more by doing some clearing and common sense stuff. So it furthers the benefit for all life,
Yeah.
animals and humans, so I don't know. I'm praying for California and anybody out there that, if you're listening and watching us, our hearts go out to you. And
Yeah.
shit, man, get a little bit angry. Use righteous anger as a movement, as a propeller forward. That's what it's good for. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Yes.
think,
Well, um, I guess maybe start doing shows on Sunday, in if it works out. We'll just
that
stay, I
works
guess.
for me either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Mondays I do have, well, no, we'll talk about it off air, because there's a couple things I also want to talk to you about. I need to get a new, speaking of photo shoots, I need a season 2 photo of you, my dear. And then
Okay.
I'll
Send
I'll
one.
get a new thumbnail for season 2 going. And
Okay. Oh, yeah. Then they can
yeah,
differentiate between the seasons.
yeah, we'll switch it up a
Cool.
little bit. So pick out a photo that you'd like, and we'll start using that for season 2.
Love that.
And I guess we'll see you on the next one. Have a great week.
Yes, everybody. Good night. Take care.
Yeah,
Keep your eyes open.
yeah,
Look
yeah.
for,
Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.
yeah, catch you at the next one. I'll give you a call either later tonight, Kim.
All right, sweetie. I love you to
Yeah.
pieces.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. I love you. Bye.